Hi, I'm Shelby Busch. I am the chairman of We the People AZ Alliance. Joining me today to my right is Mr. Eric Wnuck. He is the treasurer. And then here on my far left is Mr. Steve Robinson, director of operations for We the People AZ. And then our honored guest here today is Mr. Royce Flora, Maricopa County treasurer, recently resigned.
It's just right there in your face. And they don't care because everything's a 2-week problem to them. You get mad, you shout and scream, and you march up and down. 2 weeks later, it's gone. So this movement looks like it's going to be sustainable. It looks like it's going to get some teeth. And I hope that it sends a message to all of them, not just our board of supervisors, but everyone. You know, this has got to stop. The people have to take their government back. It's our government, it's not theirs.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, we talked yesterday, and I said, thank you so much for doing what you did. And you said, all I did was honor my oath. Well, that's a rare thing. It's a very, very rare thing. And what you look at is just your duty, and all elected representatives should look at as their duty. Unfortunately, it's not commonplace. Can you please tell people what it means to you to honor your oath?
Well, when you take an oath, you've given your sacred word. You can't go back on that. It may be painful. You may have areas where, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble if I do this. It doesn't matter. You still have to be true to that oath because that's why you were elected. You tell people certain things, you take this oath, and then you don't do it. What are they supposed to do? It becomes commonplace. There are no consequences for violating your oath because nobody does it. So they all go in there, they play the little game, and that's all it is, the little box they got to check off. That's it. That's all it means to most of them. And I'm saying most of them because I believe that. There are some very good ones. Mark Fincham is a great example. I don't know if you've worked with Mark. Mark's fed up. He's had enough. So he's working really hard to get some things done. So you still have a lot of good people in the legislature. But as you get farther and farther away from the people's seat of accountability, they get more and more loose with the laws. Till you get to the point where the law doesn't really even matter anymore. They kind of do whatever they want.
So I have a question. So as treasurer, when the Board of Supervisors secured the Dominion voting equipment, it was bought and paid for by taxpayer dollars, correct?
As far as I know, yes.
So,
Some taxpayers.
so if it is, and we demand an audit, why are they blocking us from an audit if we paid for it? Because we're demanding, we want to see true results and have an audit.
Well, as I said earlier, I think they don't want an audit because they don't know what's going to happen. They don't like uncertainty. Right now, they're all elected. They're all sitting there fat, dumb, and happy. And if you do an audit and you find things out, it could disrupt what they're doing. If you remember, Steve Chukri, at least 4 years ago, told me personally, we're taking elections away from the recorder's office. They didn't do anything. They assigned one of their people in control. So actually now, they've got responsibility. But they didn't do any of that. He just is another one of those things where he just gives lip service.
So what you're saying is their idea of taking back the elections for we the people is to put it in the hands of a bureaucrat that they control?
Yes, exactly. They're just checking a box. I said I was going to do this. Okay, there, we took it back. Happy now? I got one guy standing over there looking over the entire operation that the recorder's office has. That doesn't make any sense to me. And once again, I'm back to the question. If you think something went wrong in this election, and I have not found anybody who doesn't, that warrants an investigation, and it's treasonous to not do it. I sat in a room with 100 other conservatives I was speaking to, and I said, is there anybody in this room who feels good about this election, that there was no fraud and it was 100% valid? Not a single hand went up. I said, don't you think that in itself is reason to have an investigation? They all agreed. So hopefully this will continue and we will get the investigation. I don't know what they're going to find. I don't think anybody does. That's what an audit does. If you go in with preconceived notions, you're as bad as they are. You set up the answer and work backwards? No, that's not what we want. We want the books opened up. We want to find out what's going on. Let's see if something happened.
Now, there's some question right now about the RFPs behind the purchase of Dominion. A lot of people say that the Board of Supervisors jumped right in and approved the Dominion software and payment of the software because of maybe some backroom deals. Who knows? But we can't find anywhere in the minutes or anything documented that they actually did their homework, that they actually looked into other softwares. As the treasurer, I don't know what access you have, but do you know anything about how those RFPs work and what their responsibility actually is versus what they may have done?
No, I don't, but that's not an uncommon strategy. They have, the laws require them to have public notice when they're doing a meeting or doing any of this stuff, but their chiefs talk to each other all the time and they move around. The board, the actual elected officials, these guys show up twice a week, every other week if you're lucky. With this COVID excuse, they don't even do that. I come into the office every day. They don't. So they probably don't know what's going on. They set up, they give their directions, and their little minions go running off to make it happen. As far as the RFP process goes, it's very strictly controlled by law, but as you know, even our governor kind of avoids that. So nobody, again, as long as you're in the swamp, doesn't matter what the rules are. You're more goal-oriented there. You want to cover something up, you just do it. You don't talk about it. So I'm not saying that there is something there, that they did something wrong, but let's find out. Those records exist somewhere. All you have to do is go down to procurement or somewhere else in their finance division and go through it. The treasurer's office processes those checks, so we would probably have it somewhere, but we don't have any control over what the county does. They run their own operation. They have no authority over the treasurer, and the treasurer has no authority over them.
So right now, while you have people listening, because I know, we spoke and you've mentioned here today that you've been screaming from the rooftops and nobody's been listening. Well, we're listening to you now, and I'm sorry it took so long. But what would you say to the people right now? What information would you want to give them about maybe what goes on inside, what has happened, what it's been like, and what the people can do to help the good guy like you that are in there fighting? What can they do to not have to fight alone?
Well, they've got to get together, and that's the key, is not to fight alone. You can't. I'm very fortunate, and they have no control over me. Most people are not that fortunate. So unless you get with a group, and you know as well as I do, everyone can see this, they don't listen until somebody screams loud enough in a group, and then they show up, they pat you on the back, tell you everything's going to be okay, and then go back to business as usual. So what you need to do is keep up the fight. People will get the government proportionate to the effort they put out. And if you're going to sit back and watch TV and complain about everything, that's all you're going to get, is more of the same. You need to get up, get moving, say we've had it with these people, and start replacing them. Start putting people in there who understand that they work for the people. They don't work for their next job.
Wonderful. So you heard it here from someone that lived in the swamp. We need to hold our elected accountable. It's our responsibility. The government belongs to us. And if we want to claim the government belongs to us, we have to do the hard work that it takes to maintain that and to keep that. And so I want to thank you. Thank you once again for doing what you did. It set an example. It made people listen. And I wish more elected officials would take the time to do what you did and say, hey, I have an oath to honor, and I'm gonna do it. And then maybe someday that won't be an extraordinary act.
I hope you're right. The key here, watch what they do, not what they say, because they're going to tell you what you want to hear, and then they're going to do what they want. So if you're not seeing what you want out of government, it's because of them. I offered to give them $1 billion that we have in our treasury of taxpayer money. This is money they've already taken from you. It's just sitting there earning interest at less than 1%. Why don't we take that money instead of increasing taxes and use that? And they can pay it back at the same market rate. We would own our capital. This is one state doesn't own our capital because of irresponsible politicians. That's exactly why.
It's an embarrassment.
It truly is. But after talking with my finance people, we actually have $2 billion in money that was not really being used. You're controlled by budget. The levy is around $4 billion, and that most of that goes to the schools and local government. So why do we have $6.7 billion in our treasury that we can invest? Because it's extra money. There are reasons it accumulates and stuff. Nobody does anything to drive it back down. Remember when the housing market collapsed? People woke up one day and their houses were worth half. And that's most of their entire life. That's where you spend your investment, on your house. Did taxes go down? No, they continued to go up. And what do they tell you? well, we're going to keep the rate the same. Well, the rate isn't the tax. The tax goes up when the values go up if the rate stays the same. So again, they've got very tricky language. People are trying to do their jobs, and it's hard to get down into this muck and sort out what is real and what is not real. And I think that's part of the problem. We all know we're angry. We know who we're angry at, but we don't know how we got here. So that's going to be hard to untangle. But that's how. Watch what they say. They always leave room for them to maneuver around, and they never deliver on what they say they're going to do.
Well, thank you once again. And you heard it. We got to get in the muck, people. So if you're willing to get into the muck, go to www.wethepeopleazalliance.com and sign up to join our movement. It is our movement, We the People. God bless you. God bless you. God bless America.